We can talk about nonprofit status. The lady in the back brought up the IRS. I was on the phone with the IRS this morning. Didn't say what I wanted them to say either. Darn it, yeah. The IRS doesn't usually. We can talk about fundraisers, reimbursement policies, paying workers, just some stuff that I've found that co-ops need to address that you might not be aware of. And most of this stuff I write down in one of my 3 books. There are 3 books. That Homeschool Co-ops one, I already showed you. The new cover looks like this. And then I have another book called The IRS in Your Homeschool Organization. You might need that, especially if your group is bringing in more than $5,000 a year. And the 3rd book is a redo. I just redid it last summer, called Money Management in a Homeschool Organization, a guide for treasurers. Very helpful book if you're handling the money, whether you're small, medium, or large, to help your treasurer out. So all those books are down at my booth over in the exhibit hall. Let me talk about a few things here that I'm going to cover some more stuff. A lot of times, homeschool leaders will say to me, let me back up. Most homeschool co-ops have been formed as nonprofits, but I'm finding a lot more homeschool co-ops are formed as businesses, for-profits. Very interesting. Some of them are quite large. Ran into one in Indianapolis last month. Quite large. They've been around for 10 years, and they are a woman's business. She does not make a lot of profit, but she runs it as her business. Isn't that interesting? Usually we're thinking, this is going to be nonprofit. One woman called me. It was very interesting. She was homeschooling in Hollywood. I looked her up. She's actually a screenwriter in Hollywood. Her husband is a producer. You recognize some of the films that he's done. She homeschools because the private school, I guess the public schools are not very good in California, and the public school is $30,000 per kid, and she has 3 kids. So even a Hollywood producer doesn't want to sell out $90,000 to educate his kid. So she homeschools. She and 4 moms get together. They hire a teacher to come in. Isn't that interesting? She basically is running a long-run school. We talked about, are you a nonprofit? Are you organized with a board? Do you have bylaws? Do you operate, meaning no profit motive? That's what that X over the money means. No, as it turned out, it was easier with 5 people for her just to run it as a business. The other 4 moms paid her. She wrote the check to the teacher. That was easier. No way she was going to go to the IRS and claim she was a nonprofit because she didn't have a board. There were only 5. She wasn't serving the public, which you kind of have to do to get taxes and stuff. Interesting, huh? So your co-op could form as a for-profit if someone says, I just want to run this as my business. It's just an interesting way that I'm seeing homeschooling kind of going. But for the most part, we're organized and operate as a nonprofit. If you organize and operate, organize, that's the board. Operate, meaning have some organizing document, bylaws can suffice. And operate, meaning no one gets to pocket the money. There's no real profit motive. You're just pooling your income to pay the rent to the church. That's what makes a nonprofit. So some of you might already be nonprofits and not even realize you are. What you need to know, though, is just because you operate like a nonprofit doesn't mean you're tax-free. This is quite shocking to a lot of homeschool groups. Tax exempt is the word we call it. It's like being married. I have a short little video over at HomeschoolCPA.com, and I show it here, but I don't think the Wi-Fi works. So anyway, I'll explain it in words. It's like being married. When you get married, that's like having nonprofit status. But you don't get the tax benefits of marriage till you file a joint tax return. Same with your homeschool group. You might be organized and operate like a nonprofit, and I already showed you, a board, organizing document, probably bylaws, no profit motive. But you don't get tax exempt status till you go to the IRS and fill out some forms and apply. Did you know that? Are you wondering, wait a minute, are we supposed to be paying taxes then? Yeah, maybe you are. Except the woman in the back mentioned this threshold of $5,000. Here we go. There are a couple of cases where the IRS gives you automatic tax exempt status. Phew! Here are the 3, pretty much. If you're very tiny, belt tightening there. Your annual gross revenues are under $5,000 a year, meaning you're automatically tax exempt if you're nonprofit. Phew, good. Somebody define gross revenues for me. Gross, everything you bring in. What if you bring it in at the field trip and it goes right back out? It's still part of your gross income. Darn, yeah. That threshold's very low, $5,000. It's not hard to get over $5,000 anymore. I really hope the IRS ups this limit so we can operate with more like 20, 25, maybe even 50,000. That would be nice. They don't adjust this. They haven't adjusted it in a long time. Or, let me skip over here to this one, you can be part of a church. Churches are automatically tax exempt, which is why I said, gosh, if you can start as a ministry at church, please do that. If you find a friendly church, beg, plead, tell the pastor will clean, whatever it takes, right? You know, offer to pay your part of the insurance, whatever it takes, but be part of a church, because then you're automatically tax exempt under them. Or in the middle, you might be more of a support group, which in the IRS, if you ever asked, if they ever talked to you about it, please don't talk to them about it though, you probably are more like a 501c7, a social club. You gather together for support of each other. You don't have an academic or an education focus like a co-op does. So I got a comparison at HomeschoolCPA that compares. What's nice about these social clubs is they're tax exempt automatically as long as you operate like when you don't have to fill out any paperwork to apply. So, questions at this point? Yes?
If you're under the 5,000, you have an EIN, should we have been filling out this 990
N
form?
Yes. Here's what
Which
happened.
we've never
Yes.
heard of before.
I don't know.
I never could hear. I'm
Yeah.
under the 5, I'm same question she just said.
Okay, let me rephrase it for the recording. Many organizations are small. You're underneath the 5,000, meaning you didn't have to go and file any paperwork at the IRS. You got to say, I am tax exempt, thank you, because I'm small enough. That's basically what the IRS says. And I have an educational focus. I'm a nonprofit, so I'm organized and operate like one, blah, blah, blah. I have an EIN. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like it was all of a sudden, but it was really 2006, they passed the legislation. Starting in 2007, the IRS started requiring all nonprofits, even little dinky tiny ones, to start filling this online 990N postcard. It's 8 questions long. I think I have a slide on it coming up. Okay, they said if you don't file it 3 years in a row, we're going to yank that nice automatic tax exempt status. So that started happening in 2010. 3 years, like 3 strikes, you're out. So depending on when you got your EIN, we have to figure out if you all lost your automatic tax exempt status. And now you have to apply. And we can talk about that on a case-by-case basis because some folks are going and applying, some are disbanding, reorganizing, some are incorporating. There's all kinds of different ways to figure out how to get back to that tax exempt status. Here's your choice.